Laurie, are you a girl or a boy?
I'm a boy.
On the evening of January 8th, 2001, I received a phone call from my childhood friend, Laurie. She had uprooted herself again and disappeared from my life, only to return with a new job and a new life. We chatted away, making up for the time we had lost. I told her about my family, my lovers, and my newest addiction to the internet, and a Russian lesbian named Anna. Laurie was on about returning to university, maybe becoming a physical therapist, or just finish the degree she had started 8 years ago. We chatted for ages, and then she slipped in.
I'm on hormones.
I thought estrogen to regulate her menstrual cycle. Next came sex reassignment clinic and mastectomy. Her words fell over me like a sudden storm. All I could hear was myself, my voice, straining to get out. Mixed with a, yeah, really? I was horrified with my dead responses. Then the lightning flashed, and she asked,
Can you call me Lawrence?
An electric charge went through my body. For a moment, I thought my hair was standing straight off my head. What? I surged.
Lawrence. My name is now Lawrence.
I went numb and was afraid to breathe. I thought that if I opened my mouth for 1 second, I would say all the wrong things, but I had no idea how to say any of the right ones. I only knew that as she spoke on about her new life and impending surgeries, she sounded more alive than I had ever remembered in that almost 20 years of our friendship.
You're awfully quiet. You all right?
He asked. Oh, yeah. Lawrence, I'm fine. Really.
Now is the winner of her discontent, made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments. Stern alarms changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war has smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to frighten the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber, to the lascivious pleasing of a lute.
She can ask for the truth, but she'll never believe. And she'll take what you give her as long as it's free. Yeah, she steals like a thief, but she's always a woman to me.
I am not an excessively feminine woman. I don't parade around in pumps, micro-minis, halter tops, reading Vogue. My lips are rarely painted. My nails never manicured in that femme tradition. My hair is always frightening. My skin wreckage with lines and humanity. Femme drag is, for me, reserved for parties, weddings, and hot dates, which are few and far between. I believe I am still feminine, still a wondrous woman beneath t-shirts and blue jeans. When I am in femme drag, however, I am very much aware of it, because people take notice. Men, women, gay, straight, and bi. Suddenly I am hyper-femme, super sex, out and about to be coveted and collected. I secretly like to be objectified every now and again, so I do, in fact, own a thong. I like the spectacle that can be a woman-dressed femme. Suggestively alive, a blush, sultry, sensual, vixen, kitten.
But I that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made court an amorous looking glass. I that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph. I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated a feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable the dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why I, in this weak piping time of peace, find no delight to pass away the time, unless I see my shadow in the sun and descant on my own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain and hate the idle pleasures of these days.
One evening, I was all painted and perfumed, parading down High Street in my heels on my way to have cocktails with friends. I was in a small town where basically nothing ever happens, so I didn't think twice about walking alone. I had walked the High Street 100 times before without so much as a second look from people. But then, on those occasions, I was never dressed up. This night, I had a full face of fun. 3 big blokes were passing me on the street, speaking a foreign language I didn't recognize at first. I looked down at the ground not to make eye contact. I didn't want them to spot the blush, the rouged lips, my mascaraed lashes. They made the usual manly huffs and grunts, but I paid them no mind. I could smell the liquor emanating from their pores, and I knew I was in for trouble. One grabbed my arm and spoke in mumbled French. Okay, maybe it wasn't exactly that. I don't remember. I was vulnerable. I wasn't in my usual combat boots, so I couldn't drop kick the fucker in the nuts and run. Goddamn heels. I had taken self-defense classes with a girlfriend whilst at university, so I instantly spun out of his grip and pulled out my house keys. The blokes were stunned. I looked the one that had grabbed me right in the eye and said, "Je suis lesbien." My inner dialogue at that moment was, "Touch me again and I'll unlock holes in your head." They left me alone. And I clicked away, more powerful than ever. But knowing I would think twice about dressing femme again.
The first time I ever heard the term stone, it came from the mouth of one of my lovers. It was during a fight, and she was referring to my lack of feeling. Now, it's not as if I'm ashamed of my feelings, or that I have none to express, but that I do not express myself like other women. It felt like a lifetime had passed before I finally spoke about my relationships with women to family and friends, but that is about as expressive as I get. I mean, get angry now and again, kick things about. And if a loved one died, I might cry. But I don't talk for hours about how much I love some skirt. I'm just not made like that.
I really don't think you should do this. Mutilating your body? Taking hormones?
I'm not asking for your permission, just your support. It's my body. My right to do with it what I will. If I was getting a facelift or a liposuction.
This is completely different.
Yeah? Phalloplasty instead of Rhinoplasty. If I was getting bigger jugs, you'd throw me a party and say, let's squeeze the balloons. I'm not a homosexual.
You sleep with women. Women who sleep with women are lesbians.
Yes, but I'm a man. You, of all people, should know that. I just want the outer me to reflect that. I'm tired of explaining myself to strangers. I look like a man because I am one. Even though I was born with a vagina and all that bullshit. For one day, cut your hair, put on a man's suit and tie, and walk down the street. Experience what it is to be spat at, punched, escorted out of the ladies' room and called dyke so many times, your ears can't hear the word anymore.
Is that what it's like for you?
No, not at all.
I'm trying to understand Lawrence's dilemma, but I'm very confused about it. Scared, really. I've known her a lifetime, and now he wants to change the pronouns on those memories. Will he look like my friend? Will he still laugh and smile the same? Will I have lunch with a complete stranger? A man with all the presence, or perhaps absence, of a man? If I love him, will I be heterosexual? Or will he have so many scars that old comforts will be cut away?
I want to touch her, to embrace her, disgrace her, name her, tame her, chain her softness, collect her beauty. I want to shove myself in her, break her, take her body, caress her inner thigh, make her lie and cry, pull at her hair, make her aware. I want to make her scratch me, burn me, bite me, hit me, hate me, love me, lust me, need me, want me, bait me, fight me, sex me, crave me, and sex me, sex me, sex me.
Get
stumble. Alas, I blame you not, for you are mortal, and mortal eyes cannot endure the devil.
When have I injured thee? When done thee wrong? Or thee? Or thee? Or any of thy faction? The plague upon you all!
Avaunt, thou dreadful minister of hell!
Sweet saint and charity, be not so cursed.
Foul devil, for God's sake hence, and trouble us not. For thou hast made the happy earth thy hell, and filled it with cursing cries and deep exclaims.
Lady, you know no rules of charity. It renders good for bad, blessings for curses.
Villain, thou knowest nor law of God nor man. No beast so fierce but knows some touch of pity.
And I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Oh, wonderful, when devils speak the truth.
More wonderful when angels are so angry. Vouchsafe divine perfection of the woman of these supposed crimes, give me leave by circumstance, but to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe diffused infection of a man, for these known evils but do give me leave by circumstance to curse thy cursed son.
Fairer than tongue can name thee. Let me have some patient leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can think thee, thou canst make no excuse current but to hang thyself.
By such despair, I should accuse myself.
By despairing shalt thou stand excused for doing worthy vengeance on thyself that didst unworthy slaughter upon others.
Say that I slew them not.
Then say they were not slain, but dead they are, and devilish slave by thee.
I did not kill your husband.
Why, then he is alive.
Nay, he is dead, and slain by Edward's hands.
Thy foul throat thou liest. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant ye yea.
Dost grant me, hedgehog? He is in heaven where thou shalt never come.
He was fitter for that place than earth.
And thou unfit for any place but hell.
And one place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber.
Ill rest betide the chamber where thou liest.
So will it matter till I lie with you.
I hope so.
I know so. But generally, Anne, to leave these keen encounters of our wits and move something towards a slower method is not the timeless deaths of these Plantagenets, Henry and Edward, as shameful as their executioner.
Thou wast the cause and most accursed effect.
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty that did haunt me in my sleep to undertake the death of all the world so that I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
If I thought that, I tell thee, homicide, these nails should rend that beauty from my cheeks.
These eyes could not endure that beauty's wreck. You should not blemish it if I stood by. As all the world is cherished by the sun, so I by that. 'Tis my day, my life.
Black night o'ershade thy day, and death thy life.
Curse not thyself, fair creature. Thou art both.
I would I were, to be revenged on thee.
It is quarrel most unnatural to be revenged on him that loveth thee.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that killed my husband.
He that bred thee, lady of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
His better does not breathe upon the earth.
Oh, he lives that loves thee better than he could.
Name him.
Plantagenet.
Why, that was he.
The same name, but one of a better nature.
Where is he?
Here. Why dost thou spit at me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from such a sweet place.
Never hung poison on fouler toad. Out of my sight! Thou dost infect mine eyes.
Teach not thy lips such scorn, for it was made for kissing, lady, not for such contempt. If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive love, here, I lend thee the sharp-pointed sword, which if I choose to hide in this true breast, and let the soul forth that adoreth thee, I lay it naked until the deadly stroke, and humbly beg the death upon my knee. Nay, do not pause, for I did kill King Edward, but 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. Nay, now dispatch, 'twas I that stabbed King Edward, but 'twas thy heavenly face that set me on. Take up the sword again, or take up me.
Arise, dissembler. Though I wish thy death, I will not be thy executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I will do it.
I have already.
But that was in thy rage. Speak it again, and even with the word, this hand which for thy love did kill thy love, shall for thy love kill, for true love to both their deaths. Shalt thou be accessory?
Send you thy heart.
Disfigured in thy tongue.
I fear me both are false.
Then never man was true.
Wow. Well, put up your sword.
Then say my peace is made.
That thou shalt know hereafter.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Look how my ring encompasseth thy finger. Even so thy breast encloseth my poor heart, where both of them. For both of them are thine, and if thy poor devoted servant may but beg one favour at thy gracious hand, thou doth confirm his happiness forever.
What is it?
That it may please you, leave these sad designs to him that hath most cause to be a mourner. I beseech you, grant me this boon.
With all my heart. And much it joys me too to see you are become so penitent.
Bid me farewell.
'Tis more than you deserve. Since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine that I have said farewell already.
Was ever woman in this humour wooed? Was ever woman in this humour won? I'll have her, but I'll not keep her long. To take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, the bleeding witness of my hatred by having God, her conscience in these bars against me. And I no friends to back my suit withal, but the plain devil and dissembling looks. And yet, to win her, all the world to nothing. Ha! And will she yet abase her eyes on me? On me, whose all not equals Edward's moiety. On me, who halts and am misshapen thus. Upon my life, she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvelous, proper man.
Laurie and I met in high school in South Georgia, the Bible Belt, at Nowheresville High. We grew up in the kind of town where if you just said the word gay, you'd be sure to burn in hell. Laurie and I were best friends. We clung to each other in a way that made people talk, but actually, we just found solace in our friendship. We were kindred spirits in a world that was more cruel than kind. We knew we were different from other girls, even if we could never say how.
Albeit charges for a looking glass and entertain a score or two of tailors.
To entertain ourselves, because we were excessively bored, we would stage ridiculous stunts. One time, we stole some patient gowns from a hospital and put them on, drove to the local mental institution. We ran all around in the road about half a mile away, pretending we had escaped. Another time, we drove to the local Walmart and pretended I was blind. Laurie led me around the store, and then just as we were about to leave, walked me into a door. I screamed, took off my dark glasses, and proclaimed, "I can see! I can see!" After one of our many stunts, a woman police officer told us, "If you like acting so much, why don't you two join the drama club?" And so began our love of theater and fascination with women in uniform.
To study fashions to adorn my body, since I'm put in favor with myself, I will maintain it with some little cost.
In the drama club, I was always auditioning for the princess roles. I loved getting to wear big, ornate costumes and pretending to be royalty. Laurie found her niche too. She loved to build the sets and rig the lights. She always had a hammer hanging from her belt and a fistful of nails. Our sets were made cheap and would fall down, snapping to pieces during rehearsal. It was quite comical. Laurie would shout backstage, "Timber!" and all the actors would scatter. And then she'd pick up the pieces and put it all back together again. Our last year in high school, I begged Laurie to audition for the senior show, Richard III. We were both graduating, and I knew in my heart we would make new lives without one another. It took some convincing one evening with a couple of bottles of whiskey and a joint, but eventually, Laurie confessed she secretly wanted to play Richard.
I am Richard.
Fumbling the rolled up script she'd been carrying around in her back pocket for weeks. I didn't know what she meant by that, and was too stoned to question it. Laurie auditioned.
Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass. That I may see my shadow as I pass.
And was cast as Queen Margaret. She was devastated. But since I was cast as Anne, I was ecstatic. And soon Laurie resolved herself to playing the crazy queen because it made me happy. When it came to our first dress rehearsal, Laurie nearly died. The costume designer, one of the mothers, put her in a dress. All the years I had known Laurie, I had never seen her in a dress, but I never questioned it. I guess, honestly, I had never really noticed until that first dress rehearsal. In that one moment, I realized why. She looked so awkward in it. She walked around with her arms out as though it was made of needles and would stick her to death if it touched her skin. It was as though she was wearing one of those hospital gowns we had stolen and it revealed her naked body. That is how uncomfortable she was in it. It was ridiculous. Even the costume designer took notice. I heard her whisper to one of the other moms, "She looks like a boy in drag. What should I do?" Laurie and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. We ran backstage and Laurie looked at herself in the mirror and we laughed even harder. I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. But then I noticed, somewhere beneath all the laughing, Laurie was in pain. Tears had welled up in her eyes. She played it off as though she had laughed so hard it made her eyes water, but I knew better. I knew Laurie.
Because I cannot flatter, look fair, smile in men's faces, smooth, deceiving cog, duck with French nods and apish courtesy, I must be held a rancorous enemy.
Dyke!
Cannot a plain man live and think no harm, but that his simple truth must be abused with silk and sly, insinuating jacks.
Did your daddy dress you?
The world has grown so bad that wrens may prey where eagles dare not perch. Since every jack became a gentleman, there's many a gentle person made a jack. And no more can you distinguish of a man than of his outward show.
What are you, a boy or a girl?
Which God he knows, seldom or never jumpeth with the heart.
One November, I hosted a Thanksgiving dinner, and Laurie randomly showed up. No warning. There was just a knock at the door, and a familiar face there when I opened it. I had just had a hard breakup, so of course was very happy to see my old friend. She and I had become almost estranged, but the minute we started talking, it was as though time never passed between us. We laughed and ate my overcooked turkey. All the other guests left after the pumpkin pie was traditionally served, but Laurie stayed. She was in the kitchen, helping me clean the dishes. Well, actually, it was more like I was cleaning the dishes and she was entertaining me. And together we drank the bottle of wine she brought. Then she threw a pass at me. Kissed me right over the dishwasher whilst it was in the dry cycle. It was hot. The dishwasher, not the kiss.
It was too hot to do somebody good, that is, too cold in thinking of it now.
As for the kiss, I was in shock. All those years, and neither of us ever. I should have seen it coming, and I should have responded, said something, kissed her back, anything. I didn't, and she sensed my confusion. Before I could catch my breath, she grabbed the keys to her Harley and raced off. I didn't hear from her again for a long time.
I opened up my soul and told you my deepest, darkest thoughts, you'd reject me. So I remained silent, a puzzle, but we don't play games. I'm a monster mutant, a fist of cuffs, a callous heart, and you say, so are we all. But you look perfect in the light, and I have a serpent's tail to uncoil and strike. Hear the rattle, retreat. I'm plagued with spit. You're standing there, aware, blind to my claws, tame to my flaws.
Drop and give me 20.
Don't kill me. I know I haven't written or called and you probably hate me right now, but know that as bad as I can be, I don't mean it. And I will always love you. I'm in South Carolina now in basic training. I know you're saying, why the hell did you join the army? Call it a moment of insanity. I joined. I couldn't think of where else I might fit, and no, the army doesn't fit. So I'm stuck here surviving the harsh, horrible hell of my many mistakes in a miserable life. I am, however, surrounded by other women. That cheers me up at times, but mostly living, eating, sleeping, working, bathing, kissing, and sharing space with 27 women every day is torture. I never thought it would be like this. The army is every awful thing you've ever heard of more. The food alone is enough to keep you up all night. And does, usually while sitting glued to the toilet. Good news, and yes I have some, is that I've gotten in great shape. Lost some weight, gained some muscle. You should see my biceps. I lost 12 pounds in all. That's almost a stone. I know because I had to go and see the nurse when I tripped and fell and cut my knee open during one of our drills at 4 a.m. How they expect us to get through PT? Physical training when we can't keep our eyes open. Anyway, my knee healed, but it was passy. Oops. I wrote pussy. It was passy and festering for a week. Yeah, really attractive. Yeah, anyway. I'm ready for time off. I mean, I just want to take a shower. By myself. Imagine that. I mean, I want to just sleep in late, watch TV, eat junk food. Oh, God, I would kill for a candy bar right now. SOS send shocker. I better end it. I can hear people squirming. Take care. Love, Laurie. P.S. I have a girlfriend now. Her name is Chris. Yeah, that's it.
Lights out, private. Whilst Laurie was serving her sentence, as she called it, in the U.S. Army, our country went to war. I lost touch with her for many months and found out she was sent to the Middle East in what was termed Desert Storm. When she returned, she didn't like to speak much of what she saw or did there. Occasionally she would hint at things, but vaguely. The minute remembrance passed over her, she quickly excused herself. Years later, when she was beginning her sex change and I didn't approve, it came up.
Chris is my girlfriend, for Christ's sake. She supports my decision. Why can't you?
Look where your last hasty decision got you. In the army, in the middle of a goddamn war.
Yeah, and I paid a price for that. I live with that every day. Have you any idea what I went through? No, of course you don't. I am haunted by those days, and the worst part is that I endured that for nothing. I came back to the States a proud gay veteran who could not simply marry my woman. Cannot claim her as a dependent, can't give her any rights to my estate or my body when I'm dead. I mean, I risked my life for people who would prefer that I don't have one because I'm gay. And if my becoming surgically male changes an inch of that, then let me die a happy man.
That's why you're doing this? To gain rights?
No!
She pressed me further, wanting to know why I couldn't support her decision, and I had to explain myself. I guess, to me, it seemed like she was waging a war on her body. The same body that I had watched develop through puberty, she wanted to destroy. In a way, it felt like she was figuratively cutting me out of her life.
All obstacles were cut away and that my path were even.
We grew together, became women together, loved women together.
As the ripe revenue and due of birth.
It just wasn't easy for me to accept that the same female parts we desired and loved in others, she hated in herself.
Yet so much is my poverty of spirit, so mighty and so many my defects, that I would rather hide me from my greatness. Being a bark to brook no mighty sea, that in my greatness covered to be hid. And in the vapor of my glory, smothered. When I came out to my parents, it was very difficult. My father is the mayor of a small town, and my mother serves on the school board. I have a large Christian family, and to my knowledge, I am the only one that's gay. My coming out was a major event, but it was actually easier than I thought. My father said, "We've always suspected it," and my mother said, "We hoped it was a phase." Well, they tried to support me the only way they knew how, which was to accept, but never speak of it. So, when the holidays came around, I could never spend it with them because I wasn't allowed to bring Chris into the family home. And when my mother would call, she would talk for hours about my brother's fiancé or up-and-coming nuptials. But my mentioning of wanting to marry Chris was taboo. And I accepted it because what else was there? And then I finally told him about my sex reassignment. My father instantly disowned me. And my mother cursed the day I was born. I'm not sure which was worse.
Art thou my son?
I thank God, my father, and yourself.
Then patiently hear my impatience.
Madam, I have a touch of your condition which cannot brook the accent of reproof.
Oh, let me speak.
Do then, but I'll not hear.
I will be mild and gentle in my words.
And brief, good mother, for I am in haste.
Art thou so hasty? I have stayed for thee, God knows, in torment and in agony.
And came I not at last to comfort you?
No, by the holy rood, thou knowest it well. Thou camest upon the earth to make the earth my hell. A grievous burden was thy birth to me. Tetchy and wayward was thy infancy. Thy school days frightful, desperate, wild, and furious. What comfortable hour canst thou name that ever graced me with that company?
If I be so disgracious in your eye, let me march on and not offend you, madam. Madam! My mother. I do cry your mercy. Humbly, on my knee, I crave your blessing.
God bless thee, and put meekness in thy breast, love, charity, obedience, and true duty.
Amen. And let me die a good old man. That is the but end of a mother's blessing. I marvel that her grace to leave it out.
2 years after I received that initial phone call and was asked to readdress my old friend, Laurie transformed into Lawrence. To say that it happened overnight is a lie. She lived as a man for 2 years, took hormones, grew facial hair, lost fat, gained weight, lost her voice, and gained a new one. Went to therapy, joined support groups, underwent many surgeries, and finally started to pass. Lawrence told me that the hardest thing he had to do was Laurie
lights burn blue. It is now dead midnight. Cold, fearful drops stand on my trembling flesh. What do I fear? Is there a murderer here? No. Yes. I am. Then fly. Hope for myself. Great reason why. Lest I revenge. Let myself upon myself. Oh, alas, I would rather hate myself. Hateful deeds committed by myself. I am a villain. Yet I lie, I'm not. Fool of thyself, speak well. Fool, do not flatter. Conscience has 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue a several tail, and every tail condemns me for a villain. I shall despair. There is no creature loves me, and if I die, no soul will pity me. And wherefore should they, since I myself find no pity to myself?
You won't have to worry about breast cancer.
No more pap smears.
Periods. And PMS. Laurie realized how much she had hated her female self and felt guilty about that. I reassured her she was making the right choice. For Lawrence, the true self within, as we call it.
Made him my book, wherein my soul recorded the history of all her secret thoughts. How fares our cousin, noble lord of York?
Thank my gentle uncle. Oh my lord, you said that idle weeds are fast in growth. The prince, my brother, hath outgrown me far.
He hath, my lord.
And therefore is he idle.
Oh, my fair cousin, I must not say so.
Then he is more beholding to you than I.
He commands me as my sovereign, but you have power in me as in a kinsman.
I beg you, uncle, give me this dagger.
What? Do you have my dagger, little lord?
I beg, my kind uncle, that I know will give, and being but a toy, which is no grief to give.
With all my heart. I have set my life upon a cast, and I will stand
the hazard of the die.
Laurie is but a shadow in my mind. Faint, ever present, but invisible. When I'm with Lawrence, I think I catch a glimpse of her out of the corner of my eye, but my eyes play tricks. And shadows are just ghosts of the past, whispering, think on me.
Think on me. Think on me.